It's pretty crazy how many celebrities have real-life doppelgangers. For starters, Mila Kunis and Sarah Hyland have an ongoing agreement that they can pretend to be one another. Will Ferrell had a little rivalry drum session with Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Lucy Hale nearly broke a woman's heart in the airport because she wasn't Selena Gomez. Mila Kunis and Sarah Hyland get mistaken for each other so much that they decided to play along with the trope. When they first met at a party in December of 2010, Mila told Sarah that whenever she would get mistaken for her in public, she would love to play along because it would make her feel young. So Sarah asked her if she could do the same.
I was such a massive fan, and everyone always told me that I looked like her.
So from then on out, they had this ongoing joke that they would always play along whenever it happened. Apparently, Samara Weaving has been mistaken for Margot Robbie an insane amount of times, even to the point where fans would come up and ask her for pictures because of it. She's tried denying the fact that she's Margot, but because of her Australian accent, people just think she's lying and is trying to be rude to them. Yikes. So now, at this point, she just stands there and poses for the picture. Okay, but for real, Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley do look frighteningly similar.
I've been chased through an airport as Natalie Portman. I mean, Natalie Portman a lot.
Regardless of whatever hairstyle they're rocking at the time, the resemblance is uncanny. In fact, they actually look so similar that Keira Knightley played Natalie Portman's double in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Keira actually had no idea that was the role she was playing because everything was super secretive at the time.
They just kind of kept on shoving me forward and I'd be dressed in exactly the same thing that she was dressed in.
In some of the wider shots, they would end up using Keira instead of Natalie because Natalie wanted to head home early, as she should. Zooey Deschanel would get confused with Katy Perry so often that it started to get on her nerves a little bit.
Katy,
No, sorry. Misunderstanding. I'm Zooey.
Eventually, after meeting Katy Perry, the confusion started to grow on her. Everyone kept coming up to her and telling her how much she looked like Katy. Then, after seeing her in person, she realized Katy is absolutely gorgeous and was very much okay with it.
Hello, my queen. It's like looking in a mirror.
Will Ferrell has a strikingly similar look to the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Obviously, because they both have a great sense of humor, they took their little rivalry on Jimmy Fallon in 2014. Literally dressed exactly alike and had a little drum off.
We were tricking you that whole time. This is Chad Smith and I'm Will Ferrell, actually.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain and Bryce Dallas Howard have known for a while that they look alike because their fans always confuse them.
Do people come up to you on the street and say, hey, I love you, Jessica Chastain, and you have to...
Yeah. All the time.
When they did The Help together, that was the first time they addressed the issue and actually got in front of a mirror together to do a little comparison. Of course, they don't mind the confusion, and similar to Mila Kunis and Sarah Hyland, they often go along with it for fun.
And I had this moment of, do I tell them that they're wrong and it's not me, or do I just pretend I'm Bryce?
We all know Halsey is a huge Millie Bobby Brown fan, noticeably from their Halloween costume back in 2016 where they were dressed up as Eleven from Stranger Things. Halsey also told Jimmy Fallon that she thinks Millie Bobby Brown would be the perfect person to play her in a biopic.
Millie would be great, but I don't really think I'm famous enough to cast Millie.
Halsey and her fans alike all agree that the resemblance is pretty insane.
It's kind of uncanny how much we look alike. It's like, oh no, we actually just look like sisters.
It's not hard to understand why people would mix up Jesse Eisenberg and Michael Cera. Back in 2014, Jesse and Michael bumped into each other on the street, and Jesse confessed that he gets mixed up for Michael Cera at least once a day. On a side note, Michael Cera says he gets mixed up as people all the time, including John Heater from Napoleon Dynamite. Coco Jones has been getting confused for Jennifer Hudson, dating back as early as 2012. She actually guest starred on the Jennifer Hudson show, and Jennifer asked the crowd if the two looked alike. Obviously, the crowd confirmed our suspicions and gave them a huge and then they shared how often they get mistaken for one another.
I get that so often that honestly, at this point, I just play into it.
It seems to be a theme with all of these celebrities. Coco also plays along with it. Jennifer Hudson says when it happens to her, she doesn't tell them who she really is, but she says she's not Coco, but thanks them for the compliment. When Lucy Hale was younger, she would always get mistaken for Selena Gomez and would oftentimes play along. I mean, truly, who wouldn't want to get mistaken for Selena Gomez? It was peak Wizards of Waverly Place time when all of this was happening. One time in an airport, a woman asked Lucy for a photo and she was happy to pose with her, mostly because she thought the woman knew she was Lucy Hale, not Selena Gomez. She didn't realize the woman thought she was Selena Gomez until she started listing off projects that she admired. She played along because she didn't want to disappoint her.
Is Lucy Hale related to Selena Gomez? I am.
We're actually twins.
Victoria Justice is a big fan of Nina Dobrev and is happy to be recognized as her lookalike. Back in 2015, she introduced Nina as her real-life doppelganger when she presented her with a Teen Choice Award. Obviously, the internet was in a chokehold later that year when the two took a picture together at a polo event. Rupert Grint confessed to James Corden that whenever he gets mistaken for Ed Sheeran, he has no problem playing along. Again, are we surprised?
It's kind of 50-50 now. It's like, if someone stops me, it could go either way. I could be Ed or I could be me. Yeah.
To indulge in the trope, Ed Sheeran cast Rupert Grint in his music video Lego House, where they wore matching outfits.
People are recognizing you as Ed Sheeran, which is understandable when you see this picture.
Hilary Swank says she often gets mistaken for Jennifer Garner and asked for autographs all the time. She's even had people get super mad at her for denying an autograph, thinking she's being rude, when really, she's just not Jennifer Garner. It's actually pretty alarming how rude some of these fans were, even to the point of swearing at her when she denies a picture.
I'll be like, oh God, I'm such a big fan. I loved you in Alias. And I'm like, oh, it's not me.
Now at this point, to not give Jennifer Garner a bad name is being rude to her fans. She'll just pose for the picture. When she told Jennifer Garner about that experience, she was shocked to find out that the same thing happens to her. These two iconic women were always getting mistaken for one another. Susan Sarandon gave a great speech in 2016 at the Glamour Women of the Year Awards.
I want to just clarify a few things while I'm up here. Sigourney has left, but seriously, we are not the same person.
Apparently, they've both signed autographs for one another and hilariously taken credit for each other's work. Are we surprised people who pretend to be other people for a living have any issues playing along with an identity mix-up? The fact that Lucy Hale didn't want to break someone's heart in the airport by not being Selena Gomez, or that Will Ferrell had to have a drum-off with Chad Smith to continue their trope, or Victoria Justice calling Nina Dobrev her real-life doppelganger at the Teen Choice Awards proves just how similar these celebrities look to one another. Which pair do you think should have been on this list?